How's it going?
It's going.
We're back.
We're back.
Season
Dun, dun, dun.
2. Why did we decide to break and then end season 1 and then do seasons of this podcast instead of just back-to-back episodes for all eternity?
Because we got other stuff to do.
We are busy, right? Like,
Yeah.
I've got a huge plate of design stuff all of the time, freelance, regular job. And then you have a huge plate all of the time, you know, doing all of your job and your work and stuff. And we just kind of needed a break after the hospital thing, right? After the incident.
The event.
The event. Yeah, we just needed a little time off. And,
We need a breather.
that episode that we recorded wasn't going to be the end of season 1. We had already talked about taking a break for December and then coming back in January. But as we were recording that episode, it felt like a good finale episode for the first season, even though I think we had planned on like episode 18 being the finale.
It was a bit more dramatic than we were hoping. But,
Right, yeah.
But it was, it kind of just dropped out of the air and landed in our laps a little bit. So we needed a break.
So we're going to have, for season 2, we decided to make a couple of changes. We're going to have a little bit more of a format to the episode. It's still be structure. Yeah. It's going to be more, it's still going to be free form discussion. But we're going to have like a little housekeeping bit in the beginning of every episode, which is this or an update or
review, whatever.
Review of what's happened. Or even, you know, some weeks it might just be like, hey, how was your day?
Oh boy. Yeah.
You know, what I've noticed, and this is going kind of into that, I've noticed I've been a lot more emotional lately. And so I'm having,
you already are.
Yeah. So I'm having rougher days.
Yeah.
But after we go through that housekeeping update review, how's your day portion, we're going to either present our listeners with a quote we find memorable or interesting, or, you know, if we don't have a quote that week, maybe a joke we found or something funny we found on the internet, just some sort of quote or joke of the week. And then we're going to go into the bulk of the episode, which will be thing of the week.
Yeah.
And this week we're going to start. So let's start with the update on my heart condition.
Oh my gosh. Or the lack thereof.
Right. Correct.
Okay. So back when, on our last episode,
the last episode of Lou and Me,
we were a week out.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. We had just got, it was the Thursday after I got out of the hospital. So it was only like actually 3 or 4 days since I got out.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you were on medication.
I was on a blood thinner and on beta blockers.
And you were scheduled for a heart doctor's appointment.
Correct.
And they weren't going to let you out of the hospital, and I had to come and break you out of the hospital.
Yep.
But so we were kind of still reeling from the trauma of all of that.
It was traumatic. Yeah.
And
I said this in that episode, but I did think I wasn't going to come home.
Yeah, it was scary.
Yeah.
And so the kids needed a break, and they just needed to like ask you how you were doing, like every second that they saw you.
Yeah.
And Freddie wanted to cuddle and make sure you had all the comforts you needed and all that stuff. So now it's almost 2 months later.
Yeah. January 27th will be 2 months.
Yeah. So now, how are you feeling?
I feel, like I said, way more emotional than like I was, you know, if you listen to any episodes of this podcast, you know that I'm a bit of a crier.
It's not that you're a crier. It's that you're very sentimental. And when
emotional,
when something hits your heartstrings, you know it and you're not afraid to show it. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
Yeah. It just comes right out.
Yeah.
But I do feel like more things are affecting me in that way than before. And I think it comes down to a little bit of gratitude.
Yeah.
To still be here and to still be, I have my moments. I get frustrated. I get angry. I'm not a perfect human being. I'm trying to be a better human being, but I have noticed that, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but I am, well, the last week's not a good example because I've been very stressed about a very specific thing that I don't have control over. Like you said today, it's outside my control, so I shouldn't be stressing about it, but I still was.
Yeah.
And so sometimes when I stress, I vent, and the venting can feel bad to other people.
Yeah, especially if you don't preface it with or ask permission for that space, it's kind of like,
Right.
whoa, what?
Yeah, if I just launch into it
not
because
my
I
fault.
feel safe, then it can feel like I'm just yelling.
Yeah.
Which I'm not. I'm just trying to like express. I'm trying to vent that steam.
Yeah.
Other than that, though, like physically, I feel really good. Mm-hmm. And mental health wise, except for this week because of the stressor, but the stressor is, again, outside of my control, has nothing to do with my health. It has to do with my future in a way. Outside of that thing that I can't control, I'm feeling very good mentally.
So, one, you are no longer on any medications.
No, so when we went to the doctor, he actually questioned why he'd put me on the medications in the first place, went and looked at his things and then realized, oh, okay, it's because you had an accelerated heart rate when you came in. And he just wanted to make sure that I could have a break from that in case I went back into it.
And your new scans looked great.
Yeah.
And your blood pressure was perfect, he
Picture
said.
perfect, he said. Exact
And-
words, picture perfect.
Yeah, picture perfect. And he took you off of medication.
Well, yeah, he told me that
He
day.
said you could stop all medication. And we were like, okay, well, but we know you. And
Yeah.
we know that if you go from having a beta blocker that maintains your heartbeat at 70 beats per minute, and then you go off of that cold turkey, it's going to fluctuate and that might scare you and freak you out.
Yeah.
So we went to half a pill every other day or something like that. And then you were really pretty actually strict with yourself that I was pretty surprised with.
Well, we
You're
went down to half a pill twice a day because we were doing a whole pill twice a day, half a pill twice a day. Then we cut a pill and I was
Yeah.
only taking one half of a pill a day.
Yeah.
And then we just eventually took that off. But he wanted me to come off just right away. He felt like that I didn't need it.
Yeah. Which was very reassuring.
Yes, it was very reassuring. And he reassured us. He's a different kind of doctor. He's a different breed. He told us, if you want to stay on medication, that's poison I'm giving you.
I know.
And so you have to weigh the pros and cons. So like that. And I was like, okay, you're not the same kind of doctor.
Yeah, I've had a lot of doctors
Yeah.
in my lifetime, and he was one of a shining, because I learned this, that the more information a doctor or nurse gives you, even if it's just, boring, redundant stuff to them, to people, to regular, normal layman
Right.
people, it's new information and it's comforting. So the more just relaxed and casual you are with a person and you give them all the information that you know of into like a person to a person terms, it helps the patient relax and the family relax. And so he did that for us and for me. And I was ready to go in there like, okay, we need to get him off of meds. What do we do?
Yeah,
And
you were ready to go in and fight for
yeah,
it.
and I was kind of in like
But you
tough
didn't even
mode.
have to.
I didn't have to. He sort of just listened to what we had to say about the tea triggering it all.
Yeah.
Which we firmly believe that was the case.
It has to be. That's what it was.
And he said, well, you know, that could happen, electrolytes, all that, blah, blah, blah. And then he was just like, well, this medication is a poison. And like you were saying, and I was like, okay, we're good.
Yeah.
This is going to be good. This is an okay feeling.
And so what we did when we got home from the hospital, because the whole thing we feel was caused by me doing that extreme fast and drinking that tea that was sapping the rest of the potassium out of me, we decided that you were going to help me with portion control and food variety, because that's where, for me, for overall health and weight loss, for me, the food portion control and variety is the hardest part for me. I'll just eat the same exact thing every single day of my life, and I'll eat way too much of it.
Yeah.
Even if it's a super healthy thing that it's fine to be eating, I'll still find a way to eat way too much spinach, right?
Yeah.
Because I have, like, I was telling you this the other day, I don't have body dysmorphia. Like, I don't think my body looks different than it actually does, but I have food portion dysmorphia. Like, I'll see a portion of food and go, that's the right amount of food. And it is never the right amount of food.
Right.
It's always way too much.
Yeah.
So you've been helping me by preparing and giving me all of my meals.
Yeah.
So we have a rule. I can't eat something unless you've handed it to me.
And I know that sounds kind of extreme,
But we needed an extreme
fix for
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes in order to, because you were going to an extreme of fasting.
Yeah.
And fasting is not that extreme, but if you take it to a 7-day thing and all that,
Right.
can get kind of extreme.
Yeah.
And you felt like you needed to do that in order to get a hold of it again.
Well, that's the
because it
thing,
had
is
gotten out of control
Yeah.
for you.
2020 had set me back a lot on the health journey.
Yeah.
The stress, and I was way overeating. I was starting to eat things that I should not have been eating at all.
Yeah.
And so the 7-day fast was supposed to be a kickoff to resetting that.
Yeah.
And then I drank that tea, which
On
I'd
top
not
of
done
that,
before.
you were drinking a throat coat tea that had
Licorice root in it, yeah.
which
It's bad.
Yeah. Anyways, but now you're off of medication.
I'm off of medication. I'm eating 4 times a day, really healthy.
Only what I give you.
Only whole foods, nothing like no oils, no sauces, no butters.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting healthy fat from avocado and from other healthy sources that aren't, hydrogenated or just the oil.
Yeah.
I'm eating an apple a day. I'm getting some dark chocolate in every day. I don't feel like I'm sacrificing. I don't feel hungry. Some days I feel, because of stress or whatever, I feel like, I would eat normally right now.
Yeah.
But I just come and talk to you instead of going to the pantry or whatever.
And then we take 2 walks a day.
And we've been taking 2 about 30-minute walks a day.
Yeah.
And I've lost 27 pounds
Yeah.
since the hospital.
Yes.
So I'm really proud of that. I'm about 15 pounds away from being able to start Diamond Dallas Page's yoga program, which I'm also excited
You
about
have
because
that.
I
That's
set
a
a
major
weight
goal.
Yeah,
Yep.
I set a weight goal for that. And then I got the weight bench now, so that my Rogue bench, so that I can start lifting weights again to help build muscle, so that can also help me lose weight.
And you've made rest a priority.
Rest is a priority every day for lunch now. Instead of taking a lunch to my desk and eating and working, I come downstairs and I relax in my chair while I eat my lunch, and we either watch an episode of Voyager or I take a nap. And then I'm going to bed early for us, 10, 11 o'clock, but I'm sleeping until 7:30
Yeah.
in the morning. And I do feel a lot better, and but clothes are fitting better. I feel more confident. When I first started coming off the beta blockers, I did have a couple of days where I was like, oof, I feel like my heart's beating too fast. And like there was a little bit of a transition period. Because it was like, we were walking during the beta blockers and my heart would never elevate. I'd come up the stairs, my heart wouldn't elevate, right?
Yeah.
After we started weaning off of them, my heart would elevate when I'd walk or when I'd come up the stairs or something.
Which it's supposed to do.
It's supposed to do that, yeah. And it wasn't ever crazy or anything like that, but it was just because my body had started to kind of get used to the idea of it's just always going to be like this. And then I started feeling it and it was weird. But, that only lasted for about a week and a half. And then I started getting really strict with myself about just ignore, right? Unless it's beating super fast and you're not doing anything, then you're fine. Right. If you're walking or exercising or coming up the stairs, or you just stand up after getting up from sleep, your heart rate's going to go up a little bit. That's just the way it is.
Yes.
So I've been practicing being okay with that, right? Because I have a lot of anxiety around that situation. But I could not do any of this without you. Like the 26 pounds are just as much your achievement as they are mine, because you are doing, the heavy lifting to make sure that I'm staying on track.
Yeah.
But I feel like, to toot my own horn a little bit, I feel like I've been pretty good about not like trying to get you to give me more food or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think there's been like a couple of times where I'm like, could I have like a small bowl of popcorn? But you offered me popcorn today and I said no.
Yeah.
So like I'm losing weight at a healthy rate. I'm losing at a consistent rate, at a stable rate. And I expect that will continue until I get closer to what my real healthy weight should be.
Yeah.
Because I am so vastly overweight, right?
No,
I know that we disagree on the terminology there, but
I don't like it.
I know you don't, but
I have to tell you,
part
though,
of this process is trying to be honest with ourselves.
It's pretty easy for me. It's hard to like come up with meal ideas and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's pretty easy for me to portion for you because I'm not a fan of like eating, and I don't eat a lot.
Right. That's why you've never had a weight problem.
It's pretty easy for me.
Right.
I can just go, oh, it's like, 2 spoonfuls and then that's good. That should be it.
Yeah.
And I was ready for a pushback or whatever, but you haven't, with the exception of a couple of meals that you're like, what the hell is this? It hasn't been too bad,
Right. So
you're like, pineapple, really now?
Well,
like,
yeah,
come
when
on.
you get a little experimental and I'm like, oh, I don't know.
You're like, can you put some seasoning on this? Like, nah.
Well, yeah, I think that's the only thing that we've really butted heads on is that you are not into seasoning, but I like to have stuff seasoned. And we found all these seasonings that have 0 calories in there, and they're just whole food herb based seasonings. And I'm like, pump me up, pump up the jam, bro.
I have my own traumas with food.
Yeah.
And so I'm on the other side of the spectrum of overeating. I'm on the under-eating and stuff because it scares me to be out of control.
Yeah, I don't think
I have to be in control. So now we are on either side. So now we can kind of come together and make those right choices for you.
I don't think that you undereat so much as you just spread your eating out.
Yeah, I don't. I
think you're getting the right amount of calories for the day. Otherwise, you'd be like a skeleton, right? Or sick. But I don't think you eat them in the way that normal other people do, right? Other people are like, I'm going to have a breakfast. I'm going to have a lunch and a dinner and some snacks. You're just like,
I'll eat this bite of apple.
I'm going to have a chip right now. And then like,
I graze. Yeah.
Yeah, you graze. Yeah. So that's the update on that.
There you go. It's all good news, and
it is all good news. I feel great. I feel like I've got a new lease on life. The hospital, the reason I haven't been pushing back on the food thing is I feel like the hospital was a wake up call and like, hey, this is it. This is your last chance.
Yeah.
Fix this. You got to fix this or else.
You got to let people help you too.
Yeah.
And that's very hard for a lot of people, including me and you, is letting other people help. And I've been I've been saying, I can help you. I can help you. This, and you say to me all the time, do you need help? Let me help you. Yeah. And it's hard to let somebody help you. Yeah, we know people in our life that they just refuse any help. And that's frustrating when you want to help and you can see they clearly need help.
Right.
But if they're not ready to ask for help, then you can't really do anything about it.
Yeah.
But when they're ready, jump on it because...
Yeah, I've thought that long about addiction, right? Is the person needs to be ready.
Yeah.
They need to be ready. They need to be able to admit it to themselves
which is
under...
very, very difficult when you care about that person.
It's difficult to watch another person go through that because you love them and you want to help and save them, but sometimes they're not ready for that.
Yeah.
And I wasn't for a long time. I want to talk about one more thing really briefly before we move on to the quote. We have a quote this week.
Ooh, okay.
Biden and Kamala, right?
Yeah.
Did it not feel like a deep breath?
It did.
Like a deep cleansing breath to watch them get inaugurated?
It is. It's like that deep breath, but then it's like before you start working out,
Right.
Like
yeah. Now there's still
now
work
you got to get on the treadmill.
Yeah.
And now you gotta go.
Right. I think
it's
if there's
nowhere near over.
No, I think if there's a silver lining though to the former presidency is that through his inaction and terribleness, he showed us we need to actually watch this now. Yep. We needed to pay better attention.
He was definitely a catalyst.
Biden was neither of our first choice, but Biden is worlds better than what we had. Yeah. And in the first
2 hours.
First couple hours of his presidency, he got right to work doing things he promised he would do. Yeah. And, we also have the majority in the Senate, technically. So now we have the ability to actually get some progressive stuff done. Whether that will happen, I don't know. But if it doesn't, we vote them out,
Yeah.
right? We're in control. The people are in control. And we have to remember that.
Yeah.
I'm still very concerned about like the insurrection that occurred and that there are still sitting senators that participated actively in that.
Yeah.
That stuff is really worrisome to me. But I do feel for the first time in a long time, some hope for the future of our country and for our children, right?
Yeah.
I think we can overcome the last 4 years, but we do need to work together and work hard.
I'm not scared to like, when you go, oh, get this. And I go, oh, my heart sinks every day for the last 4 years because something,
I'd come to the dinner table and be like, did you hear this one? Did you hear this one?
And all you can do is just,
Yeah.
pucker and hold on because you just have no idea what's coming. And 2020 itself is a perfect example of all of that. And it sent my anxiety and fears through the roof every single day because I have babies to protect. And
we've all been on edge from this whole thing.
Babies being born in this world right now, like this minute.
Doesn't that blow your mind though? Those babies will turn 20 in 2040.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I know.
That's crazy.
I know.
All right. So that's our update. Welcome to season 2, our listeners. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for bearing with us while we took a longer than normal break.
I know.
We hadn't intended to take as long of a break. We were going to come back first week of January, but then we just weren't there yet.
Yeah.
We needed a little bit more time. And so now we feel like, hey, we can get back into the swing of things. And we've got it scheduled that we'll be recording on Friday nights and then releasing on the next Thursday.
Date night.
Yeah, it'll be a date night. It sort of is a date night, right? It's the best we can do in these unprecedented times.
Yeah.
All right, so I have a quote for quote of the week.
Ooh.
Also, I want to like try to make some kind of a jingle.
Yeah.
Da-da-ba-ba-ba, quote of the week.
It's a little too close to McDonald's, but yes. You can make a jingle. I'll allow it.
Like the other day, I was like,
Okay.
I'm your biggest fan. I'll follow you until you love me. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm loving it.
Always. Or it's like what's that guy's name from The Office where he ends every song with do or something?
Yeah.
It's really just dumb. It's
Andy.
You're like, shut it.
Yeah, Andy. So stupid.
Okay, what's the lovely quote you have for us?
Do you think we can come up with jingles though for quote of the week,
I'll
thing of the
allow
week,
it.
joke of the week?
I said I'll allow it.
Okay.
I'm the captain now, so I'll allow it.
Oh, that's another thing, right? Is you have become the captain of the ship, and so now I've been busted to ensign.
Yeah, you haven't. But here's the thing: you got in trouble.
Yeah.
Like, you got in trouble and you needed somebody to take over. And
I was heading us right into an iceberg.
no, not us, but yourself. And that's,
Well, that's us.
Yeah, I guess.
Anything that affects me affects you guys.
I know. I just got sentimental that night before I left you at the hospital. And I was like, I'm the captain now. I got it. Okay, I'm going to go home and take care of our kids and I'll be back. But I'm going to bring you food and,
Yeah.
And you're like, babe, you can't bring food from here. I'm like, watch me. This is my ship.
You brought back just like a bag of apples and bell peppers and it was delicious.
Yeah. Because what else could I bring you?
Well, they weren't giving me any vegan food. They kept going, are you enjoying your lunch? I'd be like, well, I can't eat a pork chop.
Okay. So I have okay.
No.
It's terrible.
Let's not pick that one.
Okay. But it's terrible.
It is.
You were in the hospital for a basic heart condition.
Yeah.
And they gave you sausage, pancakes, grits, and a biscuit or something. And I'm like,
it had a little
what?
sticker that said
American Heart Association
sponsored. Yeah.
Are you kidding me? I don't know. Okay, I'm getting a little heated. Sorry.
Okay.
Your quote, my dear.
Yes. Let's think of the quote of the week.
Yay. Yay, good
So
job.
stupid.
That's
I'll
a
come
good
up with
one.
something better. This
I
quote,
expect piano. I expect it all.
there are only 2 days in the year that nothing can be done. One is called yesterday and the other is called tomorrow. So today is the right day to love, believe, do, and mostly live. And that was the Dalai Lama, current Dalai Lama, 14th Dalai Lama. But I don't know when he said it. I don't have a date of when he said it. I think it might be out of one of his books, like the Happiness or the Anger book. I can't remember. But I think it's a really good way to look at things. And you said to me something earlier that was very similar, because I was, for like the 4th or 5th day in a row freaking out about this thing. And you said, it's the 3-foot rule. Is it internal or external? Like
Inner circle, outer circle.
Yeah, inner circle, outer circle. Can you change it? If you can't change it, let it go.
Yeah.
If you can change it, focus on that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what this is saying too, right? In a way, is that you can't do anything about yesterday or tomorrow. You can only do things about today. You can only work on today. You can only focus on what's right in front of you. So I don't know. I have always liked Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism specifically, as a cultural and spiritual religious movement.
Because it's just
in general.
about being the best that you can be, right? And letting things go, and
or at least trying to cut through the suffering that being human is, and
accepting that living is suffering to a degree.
Try to live your best self, right?
Yeah.
Best life.
Yeah.
We all fail at it all the time, right? Like I fail at it constantly, but I've always thought it was a very interesting way to look at things.
Yeah.
So I've always followed the Dalai Lama since I was like 16 years old. I'm not like, there was a time when I was, doing 7-line prayer with a bone mala wherever we went, but I'm not in that point of my life anymore. But I still find value and effort in those teachings. And so I do take them to heart and listen to them. And I still believe truly some of the stuff that Buddhism teaches, like I believe in karma. Some of the stuff in religions can start to lean towards mythology or tall tales or like mysticism. But I think that all of those things are usually grounded in some reality somewhere, right?
And I mean, if it helps that specific person or helps you, then, all power to it. The problem is that when you start like pointing your finger at other people, or you start hurting other people while quoting religion,
start being human.
That's exactly. That's where it should stop, at least in my opinion. But if it helps you and you feel like connected to it, yes, use it, because that, anything that can help you is a good thing.
I agree. And I also think that organized religion is for community, and spirituality is personal. Yeah. Right.
For the individual.
So I don't ever look down on somebody who joins a church because they need community. I think that's a totally legitimate life choice. Yeah. But when you start, like you just said, railing other people because they're not perfect,
or they just have different opinion, or something,
when it starts to feel weird to me.
Or if it's not sitting with that person the same way it sits with you,
right?
That's not a reason to be mean.
No, there are lots of things in this world that you should fight against: racism, fascism, right? Sexism. But then there are things in this world that we don't need to fight about it. Yeah. Right? Because at the end of the day, if you are a Buddhist or a Christian, the core of those religions are very, very similar. Do no harm. Try to be a good person. Yeah. Yeah. Right?
Yes.
So you shouldn't be arguing over it.
We're all striving to be happy.
Right.
I mean, there are a few that are hell-bent on being chaos.
There's always going to be chaos and evil in the world, and there's not anything that can stop that. But it's definitely not like preaching at somebody.
Yeah. Right? But we all just want to be happy. Yeah. Whatever that means to that person.
Right.
And so why get in the way of somebody else's path when you're supposed to be focusing on your own?
I've long considered, and I consider it this way because how similar all these religions are, all the different religions that exist, they're all very similar. They all have some sort of deity or higher power or universe. They all have some sort of like rules to live by, commandments or, rituals. And they all tend to center around, don't harm anything, try to be a good person.
Yeah.
So I've always thought like, the reason there are so many religions is because there are so many different people and cultures.
Yeah.
And everybody learns differently. And so everybody needs a kind of different approach, right? Like a very poor analogy, some people learn really well by being taught, but other people learn by doing.
Or for me, it's about watching somebody else do it first.
Right.
Right. It's like, you go, no, you go, no, you go. I like, I can't just be explained to.
Right.
I go, okay, well, show me an example.
Yeah.
And then I can wrap my head around it.
Not to bring board games back into it, but every time we play a board game, you never want to go first because you want to see someone else take a turn.
Yeah.
So that it takes all of that.
And I zone out when you're reading the rules.
Yeah, it takes all that rules explanation and turns it into a reality for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's
so we
totally
all need
true.
a different delivery system.
Delivery system, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to be clear, I am not saying all religions are the same. That's not true. I'm saying they're all similar.
They have similarities.
They have so many similarities that I can't imagine that there's not a reason for that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there are definitely religions that are like, fuck the world and stuff, but I'm not talking about those ones. I'm talking about, our major ones that are all very, very similar. They all have teachers, they all have prophets, they all have, rules to live by.
Prayers and artifacts.
Artifacts, everything. So, and there's just no reason to argue over whose God's better. Like,
we need to internalize that a little bit more and focus on ourself and our own path.
Yeah.
And stop worrying about what somebody else is doing.
Yeah. Yes. Amen. To coin a phrase.
Anyways, I like that quote.
I like it too.
I think you have to live for today. And I've learned, especially with COVID and all the plans that I've had and I wanted for my kids and stuff, they just kind of went out the window. And we moved late 2019.
Yeah.
So I would just tell the kids, okay, well, wait till we move.
Yeah, our whole life was kind of in flux, and then COVID hit.
Yeah. And then it hit, and then we still couldn't do the things. I'm like, well, now what do I say?
Right.
And so it's not that I'm tired of waiting. It's just that I should have done it then. I should have done that before. I should have set this up beforehand. Yeah. And I shouldn't have let fear get in the way of it. And I won't again. If it strikes my fancy, I'm going to do it within reason, of course, safety protocols. Okay. Hello. But I'm saying
that was starting to get a little psycho.
No,
like, I've got a knife and I'm striking my fancy. No. Stab.
No. But I'm saying if I want, I can't say it without giving it away because I have a birthday season coming up. But if, this is what I want to do for a birthday then I'm going to do it.
Right. I
don't want to wait.
Yeah.
You shouldn't wait. I
don't want to wait for my life to be over.
Yeah.
That's a bonus quote.
You got to do it now. And you got to do it safely. And you got to do it because you can't let fear win.
All we get is life.
Yeah.
Right. And we don't get to control whatever happens after.
And it's supposed to be difficult and it's supposed to be tough and it's supposed to teach you something and it's supposed to be fun and it's supposed to be hilarious.
Yep.
And it's supposed to be sad and it's supposed to be all the things that you're feeling.
Yep.
Right now. It's supposed to be. For what reason, that's not our business to know.
Yeah. I agree with you.
That's what I figured it out.
Well, you are 42.
I know. I'm learning all the new
secrets of the universe.
I'm learning all the secrets.
Are you friends with Tom, Will, and Conan?
No.
Okay, so that's our quote for the week. So now we're going to go into Thing of the Week.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, I wasn't going to do any music.
Oh, sorry. I went off script. Sorry.
No, I'm just kidding. I was going to.
I'm always yelling at you that you're going off book, and I
go off book a lot. So, what is the thing of the week this week?
Oh, me. I'm going to do it. Star Trek.
Star Trek.
So recently we started watching Star Trek Voyager all over again from the very beginning.
But why? Because you bought me the whole box set of 7 seasons.
Yeah, because you've had it on your wish list
Forever.
for several years. Yeah. And I'm like, $167. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's expensive.
And so, I learned my lesson. I'm like, screw it. He's getting a Star Trek board game, and he's getting all of Star Trek Voyager for Christmas as a big present. Boom.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yes, it was all in the same box too. Star Trek Ascendancy,
and then Star Trek Voyager Flux card game,
and Star Trek Voyager Flux, and then Star Trek Voyager. Because Voyager, just to cut to the chase, Voyager is my all-time favorite Star Trek show.
Yeah.
Although, spoiler.
Okay, hang on. No, don't do spoilers yet.
Okay.
Just keep going.
When we were about to have Bryce, I was feeling kind of emotional about it.
19 years ago.
Yeah. Whew. And so
Almost.
at night I would lay in bed and watch episodes of Voyager on the CB, WBN, something like that. Whatever the channel
Neither
was.
one of those is a channel.
UPN? I don't know. One of those channels. CW. I don't know what channel it was. But I'd watch it and I remember being in tears like every night after the episode because Catherine Janeway was not the same kind of captain as all the captains before her, right? She wasn't a Cisco. She wasn't a Picard. She wasn't a Kirk. She was this new captain, this new person who had empathy. She was like a mom to the crew. Not to, downplay her as a woman and a powerful female captain.
She was a parent. She was a guide.
Yeah.
She had to be all of these
Counselor,
things.
all of these things to her crew.
She had to be tough when she needed to be.
Yep.
She had to be soft when she needed to be. She had to be a leader. She had to be comfort and caring. And
so I fell in love with her as the captain.
Yeah.
And you will never convince me otherwise. She is the greatest captain
I agree.
of all time.
I agree.
And the Star Trek, from the point of view of Star Trek, Voyager also has some of the other best characters, right? The Doctor, EMH Doctor is the best Doctor that's ever been. Sorry, Bones, you are good, but this Doctor, they just fleshed him out so much more, right?
Yeah.
And then you, for the first time, you have, a half Klingon, half human, so we get to see a little bit of how that works. We've seen half Vulcans before, Spock, right? Mm-hmm. But we've never had like a Klingon, which is like a really interesting race. I would say that, the creators of Klingon probably based them on like Genghis Khan and that Mongols. I don't know if that's not the right word to say, right? That's what they were called historically.
Yeah, because they were from Mongolia.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think they based the Klingons off of that. I don't know for sure. I haven't looked into it. But they're an interesting race that's just kind of always like angry. So what happens if
I'm Balana?
you say that a lot?
I am.
What happens if you're half Klingon, right? You have to deal with that kind of
just that fire that's always
that fire
there.
that's always there to be a warrior.
Yeah.
But then you're also half human, and so you're kind of like you're stuck between two worlds emotionally, right?
Yeah.
So that's an interesting character. Tom Paris can go to hell. He just kind of, he's fine. He's so basic, and it's so like, this is my complaint with the older Star Trek stuff is it was very swaggerlicious, right? Like all the men were like, check me out. I'm a captain or a pilot. And it's like, who cares? Right. You don't have to be like that. The first time I watched, Voyager, I didn't like 7 of 9, and it was
character.
Yeah. It was specifically because I felt like she took something away from Kes. Mm-hmm. And, for the first 3 seasons, Kes is awesome. Kes is a really fun character. I know you don't agree. You don't like Kes, but I did. I liked Kes. And I think that there was a lot to explore with that character and that species.
The interesting part is that her species only lives for 9 years.
Yeah.
So they have to get all of this living and all of these experiences,
Right.
Shoved into 9 years. It's difficult.
Right. And, half, or like not half bored.
And her
but,
willingness to learn everything was
Yeah.
kind of, it was interesting.
I thought she was awesome. And then so she comes in, and I will grant you that the idea of a recovering Borg is also interesting, but that's ground that's been tread before with Picard and spoilers.
Yeah, but to see if it could be done and to have her grow and function and whatever.
Picard was completely reversed.
Okay, but he was only for a little while.
That's true, and she was a child when she was assimilated.
Yeah, and so he knew what was going to happen, and he had a moment. She was a child when it happened, and so now she has all these conflicting feelings of, does she want to continue being a part of the Borg, or does she want to be an individual?
Yeah.
And then she feels trepidation when she is confronted to go back to the Borg. And then the problem I have is that they put her in this like skimpy ass jumpsuit, and they expect, they've got certain camera angles, and I'm like, okay, that just takes me completely out of what's going on.
Her full ass is on display 95% of the shots she's in. And it doesn't make any sense. And that goes back to that old school Star Trek mentality, right? Is like the dudes have swagger and the girls have to be hot, right?
Yeah.
No. I get that show was originally created for 13-year-old boys or whatever, but that show doesn't have to be that. No. And we'll get to that in a second. But like I was saying, I didn't like her character because I felt like she was stealing something from Kes. But now in this rewatching of it, and we're on season 6 already, I'm kind of liking her. Like I see the charm.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a difference of 19 years between watchings.
Yeah.
Or I've changed so much. Or if it's that I just was so mad that they took Kes off and put 7 and 9 on, that I just couldn't see through that.
Yeah.
That, right?
Because time kind of, gives us a little bit more clarity, and
she's not my favorite character.
Clear our judgment a bit.
At all. Like even close to my favorite character. But
no, but
she's interesting character.
Yeah. The innocence, I think, of her character, and then when she's around the little girl, Naomi Wildman.
Yeah.
Because little kids, they just want to be told, they just want to be talked to like adults.
Yeah. Honestly, they just want an answer. Right.
An honest answer, even if it's blunt. They want to be told and talked to like they're a grown up, like they're a human, like they deserve to know knowledge.
Yeah.
And I think 7 of 9 does that for her. And I like that little dynamic that they have every once in a while.
It's very cute. Yeah, it's very cute. She also has a good dynamic, I feel, with Tuvok.
Where they have like battle of the wits, kind of, or the logic.
I also noticed that I like Tuvok a lot as a character, but I liked him so much better in that episode where he could feel emotions again.
Where he got kind of like brain damage.
Yeah, and he was really friendly with Neelix.
Yeah, and usually Neelix is like a bother to him.
Yeah.
It's kind of cute how he was like, well, are we going to be friends?
Yeah, he's all, how will you know how much I enjoy being with you? Like he was like a little kid almost. Yeah. And I was like, oh man, that's a cool character. I get that he can't stay that way, but I really like that one. And I like the one where 7 of 9 had the schizophrenia. Or no, multiple personalities disorder.
Oh, yeah.
Because she was hearing all of the Borg victims or whatever, and she was becoming them. And I only like that because there was the one where she became like kind of like a valley girl, and then she went and played a game with Naomi Wildman.
Oh, yeah. No, she was playing another like little kid.
Oh, it was another kid.
And so then she was like, do you want to play?
Yeah.
And let's run. And like, yeah.
It was just interesting because her voice is normally so like monotone, and I am 7 of 9. And then she was like, do you want to play a game? And it was like so different.
Yeah.
But yeah, Voyager, well, I love that show. That's why we started watching it. And then I was like missing Voyager during the day, missing Star Trek. So I started listening to Star Trek Discovery, and I got like 2 episodes in, and I was like, oh no, this is great. We have to watch this together, right? But then Picard popped up, Star Trek Picard. And we were like, I don't know. I guess we'll give this one a shot. We don't really like Picard.
Yeah, because I grew up not like watching it so
Right.
much as like kind of it was on here and there.
Well,
And
he was the captain of the Star Trek Enterprise when you were a kid, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then when I got older and I moved out or whatever, it was on Nick at Night.
Yeah.
And so, or I think maybe
Yes.
it was.
Yep.
And so we would just watch episodes of that
Right.
just to have something on because we didn't have a whole lot of channels then anyways.
And also
And so
wasn't
it's
sure
kinda-
what.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead. No,
It's
I'm
kind
sorry.
of nostalgic to see Picard.
Yeah. Yes, it definitely is nostalgic, right? But we didn't know what it was going to be. We thought it was like he owns a winery now.
Yeah. I didn't know what to expect at all.
But from the first fucking episode, we were like, "What?"
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil anything because it's such a new show. I don't want to assume everybody's seen it.
Yeah.
If you like Star Trek and you
But-
haven't seen Picard, spend your weekend binging it. It's worth it.
Because, and I like this part of it too. After I watched Voyager with you, and then I went and watched a little bit, a couple more episodes of Next Generation, he was a very harsh captain. He was very harsh about it.
Right. It's
Like,
that swagger.
do what I say. I said it. I gave you an order, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. But then when you watch Picard,
He's softer in his age.
yeah, because
It's
he
wisdom.
he has all this knowledge and wisdom, and he's been through so much
Yeah.
that you kind of like, oh, okay, I
Yeah.
get it now.
By the end of that first season of Picard, I was like, I really like Picard.
Yeah, I like this show a
I
lot.
like him a lot. Like I
It
loved
brought back all the
Yeah.
nostalgic, like
I loved every episode of that season.
they talk about the Romulans and
Yeah.
they talk about old crew members and
It's so good. It's really good. There's a surprise appearance by somebody from Voyager that you don't expect, and then you go,
Oh,
"Whoa!"
yeah,
Holy
and so
shit.
now we get
Yeah.
to see
How
what-
they
Yeah.
played out over time, because it's a future, right? It takes place beyond everything else that's already aired.
yeah.
Right. It's in Picard's future. So it's in Voyager's future. It's in Deep Space Nine's future. It's
Yeah.
in the original series future. It's in Discovery's future because Discovery takes place before the original series, which is kind of cool. So then we started watching Discovery.
Yeah.
And I think, again, for you, like, just like me, for the first couple of episodes, we're like, okay, this is fine. But then it hit that third episode and it kind of just took off.
Yeah.
And that show has a lot of great characters too. But the thing I think I like the most about Discovery, unlike every other Star Trek show, that's really kind of centered around the captain and their ship or their station.
Yeah.
In the case of Deep Space Nine, it's centered around Michael Burnham,
Yeah.
like a character who starts off the show as first officer, but things happen and then they're not a first officer anymore. Mm-hmm. But it's about them, right? So we're
Yeah.
following this other character. So the captain's there, but they're kind of a secondary character, right? I just think that's very, very interesting. Plus, I like Sonequa from The Walking Dead. I think she's a great actress.
Yeah.
But that show has Anthony Rapp on it. It has Ricky
It
from
has Ricky
My
from
So-Called
My
Life.
So-Called Life. Oh, I missed Ricky.
And then a new actress, I don't know her name, but she plays Cadet Tilly. And she is wonderful. I saw that Kate Mulgrew, who played Captain Janeway, tweet, I've seen this girl on Discovery and she is killing it.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? She is. She is excellent. She's a great character.
Her character talks a lot. She kind of
Yeah.
has word vomit.
She's nervous.
Yeah, she's got this nerve, but in a very endearing, sweet kind of way.
But when it counts, she can put that away and
Yeah.
be what she needs to be in the moment. Yeah.
It's a very cute.
She's super cute. And she's kind of gives some of the comedic relief of the show.
Yeah. Her name is Mary Wiseman,
Mary Wiseman. Yeah.
and she plays Sylvia Tilly.
She has so much red hair too. It's just everywhere.
Yeah.
I really like that character almost more than the lead character of the show.
Yeah, and then Michelle Yeoh. Wilson Cruz, that's Ricky from My So-Called Life's real name.
Wilson Cruz, yeah.
Wilson Cruz. And then, the guy who plays Saru, what does he play in
Doug Jones.
Hellboy?
Yeah, so he was in the original Hellboy movies with Ron Perlman, and he played Abe Sapien.
Yeah.
He voiced Abe Sapien. He wasn't in the Abe Sapien suit.
Oh.
Doug Jones is like, or was he? He might have been in the suit sometimes. He's a very thin, long, lengthy man.
Yeah. So they put him in these heels, and
Yeah.
he's got these prosthetic makeup on, and you could just like...
Well, he's a new race that hasn't been seen before, Kelpian.
Kelpian.
And they're a very interesting race, too.
Mm-hmm. It's very cool and very Star Trek-y.
It's such a Star Trek show. My only complaint about it that I have, and I think it's a fair complaint, but at the same time, I'm letting it go because it's so cool.
Yeah.
Is that it takes place before the original series and after Enterprise with Captain Archer. But the technology is so much better than it was on the original series.
Yeah, but it needs to for evolution purposes.
Right. I think with sci-fi you can kind of say, okay, benefit of the doubt, it's fine. The original series was made in the 60s.
Exactly.
There's no way they would have had cool. I think even maybe like if I wanted to go a step further, I could say that, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager, which all happened in the same period, didn't go far enough with updating the computer systems and stuff.
Yeah.
Right? They kept it feeling a lot like the original series. Mm-hmm. There were some updates here and there, like comm badges instead of a communicator.
Yeah.
Different kinds of phasers and we've got bioneural gel packs, right?
Right.
But the computing system and the UI is still real wonky. And I'm like, come on, you guys don't have any UX designers in the future? But then you see Discovery and you're like, nah.
I like how
there's no way they got a touch screen. But then Enterprise is over here and it's like, I'm pushing big rectangles, bro. No, but it's still awesome and it still looks cool. It feels more like the movies, the rebooted movies.
Yeah.
Discovery does, like it's in that universe maybe. And that is a different universe. It's like a parallel universe version of Star Trek.
Yeah.
So it's possible, but they haven't revealed that that's the case or anything.
Yeah.
So I don't think it is. I think it's just they're taking artistic liberty. And because, technology in reality has moved forward so far and they can do bigger, cooler things on TV now.
Yeah.
I do remember when Picard said the F word on Star Trek Picard, and I was like, wait, I thought this was CBS.
Yeah, but it's streaming.
But it's streaming, yeah. Which is nice because then you can get a little bit more realistic with your dialogue, right?
Yeah.
I've always thought it was weird that on TV shows, in a scenario where anybody I know would be like, fuck, people go, man, that's sooked. And you're like, huh? No, that's not how people talk. But Star Trek is I've said this a lot of times. I don't think I've ever publicly admitted this, but I love Star Wars. I think Star Wars is a wonderful universe.
I think you said it, but you're going to say it again, aren't you?
But I'm a Trekkie through and through.
Oh, boy. Jeepers.
Star Trek is my world. I love it so much. I need to get a comm badge. I need to get a Section 38 comm badge. I need to get a bat'leth. And I need some spec posters for my walls. I want to know you better fucking tell me where that cargo bay is on Voyager. I gotta know. There's something about it that gives me hope. Like, I think the difference is between Star Wars and Star Trek for me is that Star Trek is about overcoming dystopia.
Yeah.
A dystopian future. It's overcoming. It's the hope of rising,
working together
rebelling.
As a federation and
rebellion.
I'm talking about the other thing.
Yeah.
Never mind.
But Star Trek is about, hey, we kind of solved all the bad shit.
That's what I mean.
And now we're exploring and we're just trying to find new stuff and it's super cool. And, Yes, there's still conflict with alien races, but on Earth, there's no more conflict. There's no more homelessness or hunger or disease, right? We've evolved past all of that stuff. And that amount of hope, racism's gone. That amount of hope just drives me forward, right?
Yeah.
And it makes me happy. But then they're also real. They're still humans, right? And so there is still conflict with the Romulans and conflict with the Andorians and conflict. There's still commerce with the Ferengi, right? Even though we've gotten rid of money on Earth, but the Ferengi are still like, we're going to break into Fort Knox, see? Right? Like there's still all of those pieces. I don't know. I just really like Trek a lot. And I've been having a really good time revisiting Voyager and then, visiting Discovery and Picard for the first time.
Yeah.
I started an episode of Enterprise the other day, and I told you
Scott
this.
Bakula.
Scott Bakula is wonderful, and that's a really cool idea. Like the first pilot of Enterprise, so close to after Cochrane invents the warp drive, right? But I don't know. T'Pol and Trip just bug me. Trip, I told you this on a walk. Trip is Paris turned up to 11. And I'm like, gross, get out of here. And then T'Pol's just walking around looking like just misproportioned. And I don't know. Her character's so boring. I want to see a Vulcan that has rejected logic. Right? I guess that's a Romulan, but I
was going to say,
I just think it would maybe be an interesting character study of a Vulcan who's rejected the teachings of logic and has instead just tried to live with their emotion and embrace their emotion instead of suppress.
Yeah.
And see what kind of a character that would be. Because we've seen a lot of Vulcans and half Vulcans and stuff.
Yeah.
And yes, Vulcan is a cool, interesting race, and they're kind of badass superhero type characters. But what's a Vulcan Unleashed? Can I see that?
Yeah. Maybe that's just too dangerous.
It might be. They've said that a lot in like, conferences and stuff. Oh yeah, no, an Unleashed Vulcan would be dangerous. And, but I don't know, maybe what if the Vulcan, instead of spending their time using meditation to suppress, they spend it to control but still feel.
Yeah.
And I get the whole idea is that they feel emotions to the 10th degree and you can never control that, but I don't think that's true. I think maybe that and
why are they meant to have such high emotions
right
then?
I think there's a lot of backstory there that I'm just
curious about.
Yeah, but also I think there's probably backstory out in there that I'm not aware of.
Oh, I see.
And there might be some other reasons for it. But I think that would be an interesting character. I think it'd also be interesting. I always thought Worf was kind of an interesting character. Having a full Klingon join the Federation after they warred for so long.
Yeah.
I always thought that was kind of interesting. Data, of course, is interesting. Not as interesting as the android in Picard. Sorry for the spoiler. But I immediately was like, that person is badass. Remember after the first episode, I was like, that was the most badass thing I've ever seen. That was a fun episode. You like Star Trek as well, though, but you prefer Star Wars. Is that correct?
Yeah, but I think I'm like you, though. I like Star Wars better, but I still like Star Trek.
Yeah, I love Star Wars.
Yeah, and every time
But if you're like, hey, do you want to watch Star Wars The New Hope, or do you want to watch an episode of Voyager? I'm like, Voyager.
You're like, duh.
We can watch New Hope later.
Yeah. But like when Captain Pike came back, and that was kind of cool. And
oh, in Discovery. Yeah.
I don't know. Those kind of things give me like, oh, I know that. Okay. So this Star Trek is the reason why I accepted the fact that I was a nerd.
Oh yeah, that's
because the first Star Wars movie that came out with Chris Pine,
yeah,
one of the new ones, Star Trek. Yeah. What did I just say?
Star Wars movie
Gosh,
with
darn
Chris
it.
Pine, and then I said no, that's not what Gandalf said to Harry at all.
I get confused sometimes. Okay. Anyways, the first Chris Pine Enterprise movie or whatever it was, I didn't, I'm not a nerd or anything, but I get some of those references. And you looked at me for the longest time and you said, nerds never think that they're nerds. And I went, oh, shit.
You sat down.
I sat down on the bed and I was like, wait, what? But, and you're like, sorry, but you're a nerd.
You are. You're a big one.
And that was the day you sat me down and told me I was a nerd.
Yep.
And ever since then, I'm like, screw it. I'm a nerd.
Yep. You embrace it. You embrace your nerdom.
I just embrace it because...
Well, those new Star Trek movies were pretty cool, though.
Yeah. And I know, like, maybe in the 80s or 90s, it was wrong to be a nerd or it wasn't cool to be a nerd. But you know what? It's way more fun to just embrace what you like.
Yeah.
And it doesn't...
And not care about what other people think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like being a nerd.
Me too. I tell
I
everybody.
have more fun accepting the fact that I'm a nerd than like saying I'm not a nerd, but liking cool shit.
Yeah. Tell me you're a nerd without saying you're a nerd. So for the audience, I waved my hand at the board game collection.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I love talking to you on this show. I'm happy that we're back.
Yeah, season 2. Yeah.
Season 2.
But we're going to keep going with the number episodes so that we can keep track of how many we've done.
Yeah, so this is episode 17.
Episode 17, season 2.
It's season 2, episode 1, but it's episode 17 overall. But we're just going to call them.
Don't confuse the 4 people who are listening.
We're just going to call it episode 17, but
season 2, episode 17.
And we're probably going to do a break in December again, like we did last time.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Hopefully December 2021 will be better than December 2020, but you know, we'll see. We'll play it.
We'll take breaks when we need to, when we feel like it's time.
I hope everyone's wearing a mask and I hope everyone's safe and healthy and looking towards the future and understanding that if we pay a little bit now, then you know, then it'll all be better in the future. Yep. And if we could just help each other and be kind and you know, if someone needs help, don't be afraid to offer that help.
Yep. Rewind those videos before you turn them back in.
Yeah. Be kind, rewind, man. Just be kind and be safe.
Yeah.
Be safe.
I agree. Be safe, everybody.
Yeah.
I love you, Lou.
I love you too.
The Lou and Me podcast is a Matthias production. The song is No Carpets by the New Forevers. Produced and edited by Moose. Hosted by Lou and me.
Thanks for listening.